Hi everyone. Today we are going to be making some doodles with some winter characters and this little unicorn cartoon style drawing here. Cartoon or doodle style characters can be very useful, but they're quick and easy, so they're not all we have to do this time. We need to start talking about making drawings more dynamic, and it's a very easy thing that you can do with just a few changes to your artwork. This project is called Space and Theme to make your artwork more dynamic. And what are you doing in this lesson? You're going to create a winter scene with some doodle characters. And what is the big idea? What's the objective? To show a sense of space in my drawings and create a theme by adding some details that create a winter scene. A theme is a topic, idea, or setting that helps our viewer understand my artwork. So you could create a scene or an activity that is definitely showing a winter idea. What problem do you need to solve to create a sense of space? You want to have a foreground and a background, and to choose symbols or other elements of art to show a winter scene. What are those elements of art? Using line, shape, form, color, texture, and space. For this project, we want to show space. We also need a variety of characters, which can show different sizes. Those are known as proportion and scale. I also forgot to mention on this slide, another element of art is value. That is how light and dark things are. And if you added white to make something lighter, that's a tint. If you add black to make something darker, that's a shade. So those are value. This little group of Yetis here, little abominable snowmen, they're created digitally. When I create drawings on the computer, it cuts them off on the very edge with these black bars. But they give a good understanding of what we need to change up to make our art more interesting. These guys are different sizes, but they're all lined up. Nobody's touching, and it's sort of like they're standing on a line on the floor. So this one's a little bit better. We've got a very large Yeti and then a smaller Yeti, and they're very big compared to a very, very tiny penguin. So you have a sense of proportion. Yetis are very big, penguins would be tiny, but we still have the same problem where they're all sort of standing in line. Nobody's touching or overlapping. They're just sort of standing there and nothing's really happening. For most students, I see this kind of change. You might see some different sizes. Some of these are skinnier or wider, but now I'm starting to see some overlap. That's really, really good so that we can see those all together. But it's still not really realistic because if you were doing this as a picture, the larger Yeti would be further behind and all the toes would not be lined up together. So overlap is great, but we can do a little bit better. Here are our same Yetis that we had before, but you can see it's showing a little bit more sense of space. The larger Yeti is behind the smaller two, and we've got some variety because they're slightly different colors. But what we're going to need to do today, you're going to need to have at least 3 characters on a page, and we need to put something in the background to show a little sense of space. So in order to do that, we need to create some overlap. And we can see that these guys are overlapping, and we need to do the same with this drawing here, the little unicorn. And we show variety and change a lot of times, like here's 2 of them that are different colors, and that's fine and everything, but it is static. It's boring without a background. Even if we make them go in different directions, it's still not really showing a sense of space. And here, even with some color, it just sort of shows all the same size. It sort of looks like unicorn wallpaper. That's definitely not what we're going for. For a sense of space, we need to have a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. Middle grounds are going to be hard, so we want to definitely try it in this project if we can. But your foreground is made up of the things that are closest to you as the viewer. They're going to be in the sharpest detail. And as things move away from you, they're going to be smaller in size because you're not right on top of them. And they're also going to be more faded. The details will be fuzzier and the colors will be less vibrant. You can have them in a landscape where you can see the sky and the flat line of the horizon line where land ends, or in this case of the trees, you could have your foreground being the tree closest to you, and those other same size trees are just sort of getting smaller and moving into the distance. They're not smaller, but they're farther away from you, so your eyes see them as smaller objects from them being further away. When you are creating your drawings, this one doesn't really specify what's in the foreground, but you want to have your doodle animal characters, you want to have something closest to you. And if you can, you want to have something in the middle, but you definitely want to show that background to create a sense of space and not have it looking like wallpaper with the unicorns, everybody lined up in a line like those Yetis. That doesn't have to be a background like this. You want to think of something where you can add some color and some interesting objects, like here with these ships. And it's not a flat horizon line. You've got some hills, or this one here where you can see it by how sharp it is, how close up things are, and then they get less detailed in the distance. And here we have some nice things that would definitely show a winter scene. We have some mountains and some use of color that shows it's cold. So some things going off into the distance are nice. We can work on that in other projects, but if you think you can manage it, they really look good to show a good amount of distance away. It gives you the depth and that sense of space. So you need to choose three characters. They can all be the same or they can be different, but you want to show some variety. Here you can show them with some color, but you absolutely have to add a background and see if maybe you can stick in a middle ground as well. Your characters could be showing it, or your background could be, your setting could be showing it. So here we've got some nice changes in size, but they need a background. So if you can manage a middle ground, that's terrific. But you definitely have to have at least three characters and a background that shows a winter scene. They could be throwing snowballs, be playing soccer, but how are you going to show that it's a cold winter activity? You've got to make some artistic choices that will definitely show that it is a winter theme. Lesson, the standards that we are going to be covering are using principles of design to convey intended meaning in my artwork. This means that you will use line, shape, form, color, texture, and space that creates the theme of a winter scene in your artwork. Our second standard, I can describe the theme and media of my artwork. You need to write a sentence describing your artwork. You can describe your characters, the setting, what they are doing, and what is happening in the drawing, maybe something else. Use your own creativity to describe your artwork. And the last two, I can describe the subject of my work using art vocabulary, and I can describe the organization of an artwork using art vocabulary. Write a sentence or two that describes your art as a landscape, cityscape, or seascape, and what is in your foreground, middle ground, and background in your drawing. If they're in a city, that could be very interesting. How would you show a city, and how would you show that it is a winter scene? That could be really creative. So what do you need to do? Practice drawing the doodle characters and arrange three or more of them on a drawing with a background. What do you need to turn in? The answers to the questions that I just had, and a photo of your practice doodles and a photo of your finished drawing with the three or more characters that show a foreground and a background. Try to add a middle ground if you can. I want you to think of this project as a perspective challenge. That means, how do you see it? That is your perspective, your view. You're creating a view when you create your composition, where you put things so that people see things in a certain way. So you're trying to show objects on your drawing, your characters, your items, that give the viewer the right impression of their height, width, depth, and position in relation to each other in the view from your composition that you have created. So that is what's required, and you want to give it your best effort. And we'll get started drawing the different doodle characters, and you can then put a new drawing together with three or more characters on it, and make sure that you've got all the requirements for background to show a sense of space. All right, so here we're going to do our Yeti drawing, our abominable snowman. It's just a quick doodle. And what we want to do first is get these feet in. They're basically just rectangles. I'm just going to make them a little rounded at the edges. Nice big foot here. And then I'm going to do the one next to it. And I'm going to make his toenails. So I'm just going to go across with a scalloped line, curved up and down, to give him some big giant toenails. And I'm going to do the fluffy outer edge, and I want to try to get up here to give myself enough room to give him his horns. So when I'm doing this part, I want to be careful. You could start up here and work down, which could be really good. You could go ahead and make sure that you've got it on the edge where you want it. I can just draw some fun diagonal zigzag style lines to make him look furry. Have lots of long hair. I'm going to go ahead and tuck that under his feet because the hair would be behind the feet. The feet would definitely be the thing that would be closest to us if this were a real object. So we want to make that hair show like it's going into the distance behind it. I'm just going to keep on going around, sort of making an oval shape. Different varieties of hair in there, different stroke widths. Okay, so now I've got my hair, and I'm going to go ahead and do his horns. I'm going to put one over here and one over here. I'm going to bend mine towards the center, but you could also send them to the outside, kind of like a goat. So I'm going to come up here and do one in a curved line, and then all I got to do is do another curved line back to connect to his head. So not quite a C, but kind of a moon shape. And horns don't need to be even, but I'm going to try to make them that way. So up in a curve, and then another wider curve for the outer edge. Make sure my lines connect. Then I'm going to do his face. I'm just going to do a half circle sort of shape in the middle. And I want to give him some eyes, and I'm going to fill it in except for just a little bit, and I'm just going to do it just like that. So it's like sort of like a smaller circle inside of a bigger one, and I'll fill in the smaller one. Do another one. Gives a little reflection, makes it look like he's actually looking. And then I'm going to give him a silly nose, upside down curve, and a couple of dots. Now, since we don't know what Yetis look like, I wanted to give him a sort of fun, friendly face. So I just sort of went across with a slightly slanted line and gave him a couple of big teeth. So from there, we can go ahead and color him in. I colored it in like one of the movies I've seen with a Yeti in it. But you can go ahead and color in your Yeti any colors that you like. So practice this, and then you want to get ready for doing a couple of them to show perspective in the next part. And then we'll move on to the next doodle drawing. Okay, this one is unfinished. This is a penguin, and that's because I want to see that you're going to use it for the perspective challenge. What we want to do is make sure we can draw him. Same thing, we're going to do feet first. Nice big half circle sort of shapes, kind of look like little dinner rolls. All right. And then I want to get this top part with his pom-pom on his hat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right. And then I'm going to figure out where I want the hat to come down. I'm going to go about here, make him a nice big hat band, and just draw lines to meet it to the pom-pom at the top. Then I want to take the top of the hat and do sort of a curved line down to the feet. Every time I draw this, it's a little different. This one, maybe I'll give him some slightly larger eyes. I want him pretty close to his hat. And then I'm just going to do a triangle for his beak and a couple of curves down here on the left and right for his little wings. And then finally, I want to get a big oval or circular shape for the stomach. Now we know that penguins are usually black, but these are cartoon style. So you can make these any color that you like. You just want to leave in the nice white for the belly, and you could do some stripes for the hat or any other patterns that you like. And then go ahead and finish those up for your practice, and then we'll get ready to put those together in the perspective challenge. Now finally, we have our unicorn. It's a little more complicated, takes a lot more steps. So you're definitely going to want to pause the video and maybe replay it a few times so that you can make sure you got every step. Right? So the first step, I want to draw the top of the head, and I don't want to get too close to the edge of the paper. Come around in a nice curving line, kind of like a U. And then I want to draw a line down for the neck. And it's not straight up and down vertical, but almost. I can go ahead and do the face if I want to. I like a nice big eye. It sort of depends on what I'm going for. I'm just going to draw, leaving a circle highlight. And I'll do a little nose. And just a nice smile for the mouth. And then we're going to start moving from the left to the right with the parts that are closest to us. Those are the legs. I'm just going to straight out and stop. It's about as long as the nose, but I want to do a curved line to do the bottom of the hoof. I'm not trying to do one. This is a cartoon style. I'm just going to come on back with a nice straight line. And what I'm doing, you can see on the head, it's a little bit over where the neck would be. I want to do the same thing with the legs because it's not all one piece. It's not all one part. We're trying to show different pieces and how they would be closer to us or not exactly in the exact same place as the neck. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect my legs together with a tummy and do my back leg in the same style as the front leg. Come down with and curve around a little bit and attach that. So this leg here and this leg here are closest to us. And now we want to go ahead and draw the ones that are further away on the other side of the unicorn's body. Come down here with a straight line. All right, so pretty much the same thing, but I can't see all of that leg. If you see on here, I'm only going to see part of it because this one's blocking it. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish it out and not let my numbers, not let my lines overlap. I want to do the same thing for the back part. Here's the back leg, stopping at almost the same place and just doing a curved line back there. Now I'll go ahead and finish off the body. Now if you wanted to, I'm going to come on up and make an ear with a slightly curved line, and I want to kind of make the same curved line going back. If you wanted to make this into something else other than a unicorn, this would be really good for you to watch and stop the video as soon as I finish this body. We'll take a look at it. I'm going to make the neck. Okay. And then I'm just going to curve around to make the back and connect it, but not at the very end of the line. So you can see this could be all kinds of other animals right here. If you decide that you want to go do something more personal, let me try that again. So if you wanted to create another animal besides the unicorn, this would be a great stopping place, and you could add your own details. So I'm going to finish the unicorn though. What I want to do is add his hair. So I want to just give him some nice chunky hair. I'm just making it stick out. And I'm going to make some sort of flowy hair in the background. I'm going to I think I'll do the bottom part first in sort of a leaf shape. Make another one. And then I'm going to come up here to do that type of shape up here. It looks like leaves. Draw on up here. And I want to do the outline parts of it first. So I'm going to give him his other ear, and now I'm going to stop and take a look. So if you like this could be another place where you can stop. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. You can stop here and personalize it. I'm going to go ahead and finish it off like this one and give the unicorn horn on the top. So I'm going to sort of draw in an extra line that sort of contours. That means it follows the curve of the lines that I have. And I'm going to sort of flow this one to the point and center. Flow this one to the point. And now that looks more like flowing hair. And then to do the unicorn's horn, if you're going to make it a unicorn, I want a triangle like these hairs and the ears. And then I will go ahead and just sort of make a slightly curved line across. All right, so there's my unicorn horn. This one's only a little bit curved. They can be totally flat. So that is our unicorn doodle. To add his little feet, if you want to add this detail, it's up to you. On the front ones, I had a curve that sort of goes away from the front of the hoof so that it'll look like it's the whole hoof that's covered because we can see it. This would be sort of the underside of the hoof, and I want to go ahead and do that there. You don't have to put hoofs on him, but on the back, we can't see this curve. So I want to have it look like that curve right there. Quick curve in there. And I'll do another one on the hoof for the leg behind it that's smaller and away from the view of the person that's looking at it. So remember that when you're adding these and you're doing your unicorns, they shouldn't all be the same. You should have some variety. So you can add all kinds of nice patterns and things and make these show something about yourself and your personality. You can use some nice cool colors to show a winter scene and other items like maybe you're going to put in snowflakes and things. But remember, this is just our first sketch of all of our characters. It's your job to use 3 of them, any 3. You can repeat 1 3 times, or you can put all 3 different ones, the Yeti and the penguin and the unicorn together on one drawing. But you've got to go ahead and get those 3 on there, show some overlap or some perspective, where if they're in the distance, they're smaller and they're moved away. You need to show a background and a middle ground if you can. You can show that through different characters or different items, like I showed you in the examples before the drawing lessons. Don't forget to go back to those and check those out. And so you want to have this be a full finished color drawing, not just a doodle or sketch. We're going to take these doodles and make something more interesting out of them. So just in case you wanted to do the front of the hoof, I'm just going to make another curve like the one I put on there. If you want those, you can have them, but you don't have to do the hoofs at all. That's up to you if you want to do hoofs on your unicorn. So I can't wait to see what you have created for your doodle compositions, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great time.